15 hours and counting. An urgent search underway right now in Southwest Houston for a missing toddler.
Texas EquiSearch Houston police, along with volunteers, are looking for 2-year-old Maliyah Bass. That toddler reported missing from an apartment complex on Beechnut and Maple Crest. The complex has been searched from top to bottom with still no signs of her tonight.
This is Maliyah Bass, the 2-year-old with a big, beautiful smile, missing since about 7 this morning.
Tragedy. Nobody seen her. Nobody heard nothing.
Bass was last seen outside her home here at the Sunset Crossing apartment complex. HPD and residents telling us mom claims she went inside for a second, and when she returned, little Maliyah was gone. Jasmine Freeman, a friend and mother, says Maliyah's mom is struggling to cope.
She just mentally not functioning right. Because she said everything happened within a blink of an eye. She was right here at the park, and before you know it, she was gone.
Rescue efforts quickly got underway. The pool was drained, and family, friends, and residents did what they could to help.
We all went door to door looking for the baby. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the whole apartment complex.
EquiSearch also joined in on the search efforts.
We've been out here since around 2 or 3 o'clock today, and we've had foot searchers on the ground. We've had ATVs out searching as well. We've cleared a lot of area, and we haven't found anything just yet.
The Houston Police Department saying they have not ruled out foul play, but at this time have no suspects. Both mom and dad are being questioned about the child's disappearance. And family members did not want to go on camera, but did tell us little Maliyah was last seen wearing a white polka dot outfit with blue shoes, and she had a pillowcase.
Crews are back out on Brays Bayou today after finding a child's body there, and now detectives and search crews are looking for clues. Authorities believe the body belongs to missing 2-year-old Maliyah Bass.
We've learned the body, believed to be that of Maliyah Bass, has been found. That discovery coming this morning. A child's body was found in Brays Bayou off Carrollton Street near Old Spanish Trail. The 2-year-old last seen yesterday morning at a playground at her family's apartment complex on Meadow Glen Lane and Rogerdale Road.
Outcome here, any way you look at it, police telling me based on the information they have and the evidence gathered here along Brays Bayou today, they do believe that this is the body of 2-year-old Maliyah Bass. They will.
That's my best friend. That's my Tootie. That's literally my best friend.
Mom had to be held tightly. Sahara Irving inconsolable at the thought that her baby girl may have been found dead in Brays Bayou. Irving sharing the last few words between her and little Maliyah.
Mama, I love you. I thought I was gonna be right, man.
Irving says the two were outside yesterday. She claims she left her 2-year-old alone while she went inside the family's apartment to cook breakfast. When she returned, Maliyah was gone.
You have no heart, none of that.
Irving's boyfriend, Travion Thompson, was crying as he described the little girl he says became his daughter.
She was smart. She was growing up to be something. We called and they found the baby. Oh my goodness.
Houston Police Department and Texas EquiSearch were both on scene. Police Chief Art Acevedo doing his best to assure loved ones justice would be served.
We've asked, is this her? And, you know, based on what we know, based on reported missing children in this city, we believe that although we can't confirm it's her, there's a high probability it will be her. And we don't want to give people false hope. We want them to hold on to a little hope, but we want to prepare for it.
They do. An official autopsy report is pending, but investigators say that there is a high likelihood that the child's body is Maliyah's. Community activist Quanah X meeting with the Bass family and neighbors this afternoon, saying he too wants to get to the bottom of this case. It was emotional. Last night, the boyfriend of Maliyah's mother was angry, accusing police of not doing enough. HPD also combing that bayou area by Smither Park for potential security camera video. They are interested in any suspicious activity from yesterday morning around 9:30 a.m. or before that. EquiSearch has also been called in today.
Yes, they do have people in the water. We also have people on ATVs. We're just searching this whole area.
There. Now, those apartments are in West Houston on Beechnut, just outside the Sam Houston Tollway. A jogger the next morning spotted a toddler's body in Southeast Houston in Brays Bayou, just east of the University of Houston. That is a distance of about 20 miles, and certainly too far for a toddler to walk.
Dog on the scene, and as soon as the dog came, the dog passed out. Then the helicopter, right after that, the helicopter ran out of gas. And as soon as the dog came, the dog passed out. Then the helicopter, right after that, the helicopter ran out of gas. There was nobody looking. The community did better than what the police did. My baby could have been anywhere at any time. And they have the nerve to get on Facebook and bash me and my girlfriend like we did something. And that's my baby. She know her ABCs. She know her 1, 2, 3. She know her colors. She only 2. She know how to sew. She know her ABCs. She know her 1, 2, 3.
Man walking, psychopath talking, king of my jungle, just a gangster, stalking, living life.
And that's my baby. She know her ABCs. She know her 1, 2, 3. She know her colors. She only 2. She know how to sew. She was smart. She was growing up to be something.
When was the last time you saw her? Yesterday.
The last time I saw her is with my gal before my gal put her in a park. She came and gave me a hug and told me she loved me. This is her routine every day. My mama could tell you that she loves me. This is her routine to tell me she loves me, hug me. And I sit here and play the game. She come for me, you know, we eat and everything. That's the only reason why my gal came in the house, is to fix us something to eat, because we haven't ate. So I called her and told her in 5 minutes, it was only 5 minutes, it happened so fast. She was gone. And they don't realize my apartment, the rent lady had a whole operation, a sting on her for sex trafficking. And sweet, like, she funny, you know what I'm saying? It's gonna be hard to move on. It's gonna be real hard to move on, because I don't know how to handle this. You know what I'm saying? I never had a seed. I never had a child. But for her to come into my life and be there for me, that's amazing. And for her to be so advanced at 2 years old, it amazed me even more.
But yesterday morning, about 9:30 a.m., we received a call of a missing young lady by the name of Maliyah Bass. She was reported missing at 10/6/30 Beechnut. She's a 2-year-old black African-American female. Her mother, Maliyah's mother, indicated she left her for just a few minutes in the apartment complex playground when she disappeared. Upon being notified, we responded. Once we knew we had a missing young lady, a little girl, HPD along with Precinct 5 started looking for her. We also had the help again of EquiSearch, Texas EquiSearch, that are here on scene, who are always helpful. And overnight we also issued an Amber Alert for her, for a statewide Amber Alert. This morning at about 10:30 a.m. we had a female jogger along the bayou who spotted what she believed to be a body floating in the bayou. She contacted her husband. He confirmed there was a body, and they made a call to 911 at 10:56 a.m. HFD Water Rescue was notified via the 911 system. And at 11:19, HPD Patrol was also notified. HFD Water Rescue arrived on scene at approximately 11:15 a.m., pulled the body from the bayou that was still in the water, and sadly pronounced her deceased here at the scene. Patrol arrived about 11:19, was called about 11:19 a.m., and we arrived about 8 minutes later as well. Here's what we need. First of all, I know the question is going to be the family. I've extended my condolences to her great-grandmother and her grandmother, her mother, and the whole family here this afternoon. They've asked, is this her? And based on what we know, based on reported missing children in this city, we believe that although we can't confirm it's her, there's a high probability it will be her. And we don't want to give people false hope. We want them to hold on to a little hope, but we want them to prepare for the worst. And there's a high probability it is her, which I would just ask the community to please take a moment today and reflect over Maliyah and her family, and just say a prayer for her and lift that family up in prayer. But here's what we need. We need to bring justice to this family. I'm highly confident that foul play is involved in this case. We're highly confident that foul play is involved, and what the family wants now is justice for a 2-year-old that should not be, if it ends up being her, whatever child this is. We know that high probability that whoever the child is, that it is foul play. So here's what we need. You all know where this bayou is, Houstonians. If you live or have a business by the bayou, go back for the last 24 hours and take an extensive look at any camera you might have in terms of your ring if you're by the bayou, your house security camera, your business security camera, anyone that might have been jogging along the bayou here and upstream. Please, if you saw anything suspicious, if you saw any suspicious vehicles, if you saw any suspicious individuals in the last 24 hours plus, from 9:30 a.m. or even before 9:30 a.m., just anything that's happened along this bayou in the last 24 to 36 hours, just call us right away. Call homicide or call Crime Stoppers, Houston Crime Stoppers, and let us know. We need the public's help. We know that the greatest force multiplier for our city and for any police department, and which is why relationships are so important, is the public itself. Please come forward. Houston PD homicide detectives were on the scene. Were working yesterday. They're working here today. The Houston Forensic Science Center is here, and obviously the Harris County folks will be involved with the Science Forensic Center will be involved as well. So with that, the crime scene here is going to be wrapped up here, but the investigation continues. I have called for victim services counselors to be here with the family and actually to follow up the family for any of their emotional and psychological needs that they may have. And we'll also be asking for our chaplains to follow up with the family. So with that, I'll open it up to any questions, and I'll do it. I'll do some Spanish.
Could you tell us kind of the general area of the bayou where she was found? If she was close to shore? And
she was found here in the water, spotted in the water, and taken from the water by HFD.
Was she still wearing the same clothes?
We're not going to talk about anything other than what we've already heard, because keep in mind this is an active investigation. As far as I'm concerned, we're approaching it as a murder investigation, and then we'll see where the evidence takes us from there. So we don't want to jeopardize that. So we won't be discussing anything else in terms of the body and the condition she was found in, the clothing she was wearing, and so on and so forth.
This is a long distance though from the apartment complex where she went.
How long of a distance is it, guys?
Well, I don't know how long it is from here, but this bayou runs within a mile or so of the apartment complex, the same bayou does.
So what homicide detectives are going to be doing now is that they are pulling up the bayou system now. They're going to ask EquiSearch, Texas EquiSearch, am I saying it right, guys? To help us actually conduct additional search for evidence, and then we'll continue our investigation. But they're in the process now of actually pulling up the maps and to look at where she was last reported, and looking to see where she would have started potentially, and then go from there. But again, if you live anywhere between 10-630 and this Beach Nut in this area, and you're anywhere near that bayou, and saw anything, we need to know, and not just the bayou, but any other waterway that may be feeding into this bayou. If there's any little streams or anything else that may feed into the bayou, we want you to check your camera system. What else?
If the mom's boyfriend was out here upset, crying, he said that he didn't think HPD did enough. What would you say to that?
Yeah, we did it what we always do, which is we called our volunteers. We brought in air unit. We brought in dog, and we put out our Amber Alert. You know, it is a sad day when you go over there and you look at a little baby, and so I can just tell you that we would have we'd do anything to have that baby alive. But she's in God's hands now, and now our job is to try our very best to find out what happened, and if there's foul play, which again there's a high probability that was foul play, to identify who's involved and hold them accountable. That little baby needs justice. and her family.
I know it's still early, but any suspects in mind?
No, we don't have any suspects in mind. We don't have any current leads, and that's why we need the public to actually start going over in your mind the last 24, 36 hours as you drove around the bayou. If you have video, again, I think that's key. Don't forget that Dr. House Connect, that was whodunit about a year and a half, 2 years ago. You all remember our heart surgeon was riding his bike in. A video from a resident played a key role, especially when you look at the videos today that are they're very high definition, they're very high quality in these home security systems. A video from a home and another video from Metro really played a key role in actually bringing justice and to that family, identifying the suspect. Even though he ended up taking his life, we knew who he was.
This roadway.
Right.
As you said, there's the bayou that runs by it.
Yeah.
Is there any possibility, do you think, that she could have walked down to the bayou, fallen in, and then it took her down here?
I think that's going to be probably not probable. We really believe this is foul play, and so we want people to say, and quite frankly, even if that ends up being the case, you never start off an investigation involving the death of anyone, especially a young child, with we think it was an accident, that she accidentally got into the bayou. I don't believe that. I believe that this is foul play, and we want to catch this person. So when anywhere that you live near water that leads to this bayou system over here, I think it was Braze here. The Braze Bayou. Anybody that lives by water or any type of flood control area that leads to Braze Bayou, please check your cameras. Please check your cameras, whether it's a business or a house.
The mother of 2-year-old Maliyah Bass is inconsolable on the banks of Braze Bayou where the child's body was found this morning. Police say a woman was jogging when she saw the body floating in the water. This part of the bayou, not far from the campus of the University of Houston and the Gulf Freeway, is more than 25 miles from where the girl was last seen. Police say she was last seen by her parents, who told them she'd been playing on the complex's playground. It's not far from another section of the bayou, but Acevedo says he does not believe it was an accident. Today, the boyfriend of Maliyah's mother claimed the police search for Maliyah was inadequate.
Y'all supposed to have 4 or 5 dogs looking for my baby.
Houston police say they did everything in their power to look for the child. They say they believe someone else was involved. However, they say they do not have any suspect.
My baby gonna say hi to everybody, hug everybody, because she's sweet.
Detectives trying to crack the Maliyah Bass case are in the middle of a painstaking operation.
They are searching a 24-mile area from where the 2-year-old girl was last seen to where detectives believe her body was found. Investigators are still waiting on autopsy results, but they believe the body is that of the missing 2-year-old.
We don't kill babies over here. Anger and frustration boiled over at the Sunset Crossing apartments off Beechnut. Neighbors weren't happy to see the mother of Maliyah Bass and her boyfriend, along with activist Quanell X.
That hurts me so bad because I feel like they were emotionless. They were emotionless while people out here in this neighborhood are crying tears for you, blood, sweat, and tears in the rain.
Many of the neighbors say they went door to door Saturday looking for the missing 2-year-old, who police say was left on the playground while her mother went inside of the apartment to cook.
Who kidnapped the child? If the child was ever kidnapped, we don't know yet, but it doesn't pass the smell test. No responsible parent would leave the child on a playground like that for 5 minutes, knowing this is a high crime area, then shut the door behind it.
Activist Quanell X says he was concerned with the living conditions he saw inside. He says while he won't represent the family, he plans to get to the truth. Last year, Quanell X helped to bring Maliyah Davis's body home to Houston.
This is an emotional situation for everybody in America right now because this little girl's name was Maliyah. This is another one. This is a wake-up call that we have to protect our babies.
Meanwhile, in southeast Houston, Texas EquiSearch spent the day along Braze Bayou searching for evidence relating to the child's body that was found near Carrollton Street Sunday. Volunteers searched by ATV, by foot, and by kayak. They're looking for any sort of evidence that could help detectives solve how the child got there.
just can't believe she gone.
Sahara Irvin was overcome with emotion.
It's my best friend.
The discovery of a child's body here along Brays Bayou, forcing loved ones to fear the worst. A grim reality Irvin wasn't quite ready to accept.
I'm so sorry, Leah. They should have took me. They should have took me.
Little Maliyah has been missing since yesterday morning. Mom says she left the 2-year-old outside while she went to cook breakfast. Irvin's boyfriend, Trayvon Thompson, telling us she was vibrant, beautiful, and smart. He considered her to be his daughter.
This take a little mistake. In a blink of an eye, my baby was gone. And I feel like it's my fault because I wasn't watching her at that park. I was sitting there playing the game.
The Houston Police Department and Texas EquiSearch spent the day searching for evidence. Chief Art Acevedo could be seen trying to console the family. He tells us he suspects foul play. His department now handling this as a murder investigation.
We're going to catch him. So what do I think about this case? Well, the mom and the boyfriend seem to be crisis acting. They're just doing way too much. Are they on drugs or what exactly is going on here? It's just weird. You know, everything surrounding the story that they're telling is just weird. It don't make sense to me. I just have no idea because there are crazy people in this world. So she might have got snatched up. You never really know. And maybe they're just acting like this because they're so traumatized. You know, see, I always try to give the benefit of the doubt. I don't want to just right away say something is a hoax because people do be dying for real. So, especially children. This one I'm still going to have to wait on, but I'm pretty sure one of them will be in jail within the next couple days. I saw this when he was hugging her, and he just seems really evil right here by the looks he's giving.
We're gonna catch him. We're gonna find him.
The last problem I have with this case is the duo team Quanell X and Tim that came together and found a dead body again named Maliyah. We were just here last year with this. So let me give you a little background on them both.
Ron, the last place Maliyah Davis was seen alive has become a living memorial for the little girl. Today, 2 men who played a central role in bringing her home were honored for their work on the case.
Justice for Maliyah! Justice for Maliyah!
In the middle of a Father's Day thunderstorm, strangers came together on a mission. Maliyah's body found off a road in Arkansas, but the work seeking justice for the little girl continues.
What we need is change. We don't need another Maliyah.
Families brought their children to drop off roses where Maliyah once lived. The home has become a place where mourners come to grieve and advocates come to cry out for change and to thank those fighting with them.
So Tim, we say to you today, thank you. Thank you for what you did. Thank you for stepping up and taking the initiative to bring that baby home.
The group Smart Scholars Foundation awarded Texas EquiSearch founder Tim Miller and community activist Quanell X for helping find Maliyah's body.
The biggest award and reward for me was to be able to carefully help pack her in that container, put her in the airplane right beside us, and I will remember forever the second the airplane touched down saying, "Baby, you're back home."
Quanell's daughters were there to accept the award for their father.
So on his behalf, I just want to say thank you to everybody.
Miller responded to reports that authorities could have found Maliyah's body days earlier after Vance reportedly confessed to a fellow inmate several days before speaking to Quanell.
I don't know if anybody dropped the ball. Bottom line, it just happened the way it was supposed to happen.
Miller says the focus now should be on making sure prosecutors have what they need to successfully bring Vance to trial for his role in Maliyah's death.
Has Vince been brought to trial? No, he hasn't even been charged for Maliyah's murder. Does Tim and Quanell X collect the rewards for finding these supposed bones in a bag? Yes, they do. And it's weird how they miraculously find all these dead people, but Tim couldn't even find his own daughter when she was abducted and killed by a supposed serial killer.
She went to the payphone with her mother, and she called Vernon, and her mother said, "Laura, hurry up, I'm going to be late for work." And Laura said, "Mom, I just want to talk to Vernon a little bit longer." You know how little 16-year-old lovebirds are. And she said, "I'm 16 years old. We only live right down the street." And her mom said, "All right, just be careful." When Laura disappeared, there was not one article in a newspaper, there was not one thing on TV.
Well, the police chalked it up as to
Run away.
Run away.
Run away. 100% run away. Run away. And then, of course, at 17 months later, her body's found 2.5 miles from our house. And there's where little Laura's body was found. I built this cross in 1986, a week before Christmas. And I'd walk up and have that little talk with Laura and say, Laura, don't be mad at Daddy right now. I said, but you know, I gotta say goodbye. I have to put my life back together. I remember back in 2000, we was on a search, and a search director for another search team said, Tim, what are you gonna do with your horses? And I said, you know what, I just love them. We take them on trail rides and stuff, and he actually suggested, why don't you start a mounted search and recovery team? It'd be another good resource. And I said, you know, that's a good idea. Somebody would come and say, you know what, I'm a pilot, I got my own airplane, my own helicopter. Can I become a member?
Come on in.
Come on. Then people would come and say, you know what, I've got a boat, I'm a certified diver. And then people come and say, you know what, I work with this company, we've got ground penetration units. So, in all honesty, and it's not bragging by no means, but we've got more resources than most law enforcement agencies in the country have.
So you never say no?
How can you? Can't. You sit in my office 24 hours and you answer the phone, and I will guarantee you, this is a guarantee, there's going to be somebody crying on the other end of that phone because they got a missing loved one. See if you can tell them no. I can't. It is impossible for a family to move forward with their life without knowing. I know 17 months, every time my phone rang, every time somebody pulled my driveway, every time somebody knocked on the door, I got heart palpitations. Just thinking they're bringing Laura home. I promised God, and I promised Laura, I would never leave a family alone if there's anything that I could ever do to help. Didn't know there's going to be this many families.
45 is the highway. 34 is the number of women killed or missing near this stretch of interstate between Houston and Galveston.
When you look at this stretch here, there is not, in my knowledge, another stretch in the country that's had this type of concentrated activity that we've had here.
The Killing Fields, League City. The first of 4 bodies was found here in 1984, the last in 1991. Among those young women, 16-year-old Laura Miller.
I used to go out there all the time.
To the Killing Fields?
To the Killing Fields at midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning. Go to the spot where they found her remains. Scream at the top of my lungs, come here, you come and get me.
Tim Miller knows a serial killer took his daughter. He fears more than one is prowling 45.
I think it'd be easy if we knew we had one predator out there. Because sooner or later that one would make that mistake and would get caught. Unfortunately, that's not the truth.
Over an 8-year period, the lives of 4 young women ended along Calder Drive. No one doubts they were killed by the same hand. But are those cases related to the murders of more than a dozen women over 3 decades? At least one thing connects all those crimes. The Gulf Freeway. From 1971 through just last week, it has served as a conduit for murder.
When you look at that span of time, it would certainly appear that it could very well have been more than one person.
As special agent in charge of the Houston FBI, Don Clark formed a task force with 20 law enforcement agencies along I-45. They found striking similarities in murders spanning 3 decades.
Primarily, if not all, white females of a, generally speaking, age range in there. And if you look at the photographs, many of them are very similar looking.
Nearly half the victims were last seen alive at convenience stores, many near the public telephones. But the next call their families received was from police.
A logical investigation would conclude that there are some similarities with those cases.
I feel as though we've got lots of them out there.
It would take the murder of another Laura to reignite the investigation. Laura Smither was found in a drainage pipe in 1997, 2 weeks after the 12-year-old disappeared from her Friendswood neighborhood. That same year, Jessica Kane also disappeared.
What do we do? What's happening to our society? You know, what is happening here?
Frustrated with the search for killers, Tim Miller decided to search instead for their potential victims. He created EquiSearch to find people before they are killed.
All I can say to you is that he told me it was an accident, that she is dead, and where he dumped her body.
And where's that?
It's in Arkansas. Yes.
So what brought you?
It's been a very, very, very rough day. It's been a mentally, spiritually, and psychologically draining day. But I just want to say to everybody here in the city of Houston, and everybody around the world that has prayed for Maliyah, she's home. She's back home.
Quanell, do you expect to accept the $15,000 reward?
Hell no. No, not at all. Thank you.
Maliyah Davis, that little girl disappeared from Houston. The focus of the search moved, though, after the suspect in her disappearance allegedly confessed to dumping her body hundreds of miles away. Listen to this. A shocking discovery along a highway in rural Arkansas that could bring the disappearance of little Maliyah Davis to a close. Police say human remains were found inside a bag.
This bag disintegrated, and there's what we believe to be remains, bones, things like that down there.
The remains were taken to Houston on a flight early this morning. City officials will conduct an autopsy in hopes of identifying that 4-year-old girl.
We can confirm whether the remains found today are the remains of Maliyah Davis, but certainly we are trying to draw those conclusions.
The focus of the search moved to Arkansas after the suspect in her disappearance allegedly confessed to dumping her body there nearly a month after Maliyah was reported missing in Texas. Earlier Friday, suspect Darian Vence talked to an activist who visited him in jail.
What happened to Maliyah was an accident. He says it was an accident. And he confessed to me where he dumped her body.
Vence was caring for Maliyah while her mother was out of town. Now, he initially told police 3 men knocked him unconscious and abducted Maliyah on May 4th. But surveillance footage shows she never left the apartment, and he was arrested as a suspect.
Many of us prayed for a different ending in the search for 4-year-old Maliyah Davis. For more than a month, her smiling face has stayed on our hearts and minds as we waited for information about her whereabouts.
Legal brief, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Yodit Tawaldi with us now. Yodit, what do you make of this community activist defending Maliyah Davis? Because I know that he was speaking, his name's Quanell X, he was speaking with the mother, who I understand he is no longer representing.
Right. This whole word of representing is a little off, because when I was first reading about this story, I was thinking, is he an attorney? So now it seems he's a community activist who was making media rounds with mom, begging the community, to come forward with any information about baby Maliyah. And so it's odd that this person now is at odds with Maliyah's mother and no longer helping her in the cause. And then Devian Vence, who's a suspect, confesses to him about the whereabouts of baby Maliyah. The whole thing is really, really odd. But right now, what's important is getting those remains that are now allegedly a child, to get those tested to make sure that it is in fact baby Maliyah, and then the cause of death is very important, considering the fact that Vence told Quanell in his confession that this whole thing was an accident. So
I said to her, there is no need for you to get a lawyer, a criminal lawyer, if you don't have anything to hide, if you've done no wrong. I said, your daughter's missing. You want to exhaust every avenue to try to find her. Why would you need a criminal lawyer?
And what'd she say?
She really didn't respond to that. She just said, well, I think I may need to get a lawyer. And that's pretty much exactly what she went to do.
So he's talking about how the mom in this case said, I think I need to get a criminal lawyer. Mm-hmm. And he was talking about his reaction to that. He claims that she knows what happened. Is she vulnerable in any of this?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when you have a child that's missing, I mean, you're going to look at those who are closest to her. Now, him saying, I don't agree with him saying that it's suspicious that she's having to get a lawyer. Getting a lawyer does not mean that you're intending to hide things. What it means is that you're being smart about your options. And a lot of the accusations are being thrown her way. A lot of people feel as though she knows more than she's leading on. So, of course, to consult with a lawyer to make sure that you're fine is smart on her part. But as this unfolds, we're going to know more about, one, Devion's story. I mean, his story doesn't add up at all. Being abducted by a group of men on the side of the road, being unconscious for 24 hours. What were you doing for 24 hours is key, because he might have had time to drive to Arkansas, come back, and dump the body. But at the same time, there's surveillance also that shows Devion going into the apartment that he shared with Mom and Maliyah, going into the apartment with Maliyah, but she never is shown coming back out. But he comes out with a basket, a laundry basket that's large enough to keep a child in, and a black bag. It's not a coincidence that we see a black bag in Arkansas as well, right? Yeah. So then he says that after he was knocked out by a group of men, he walks to a hospital. Well, he's shown on surveillance that someone dropped him off in the car he claimed was stolen in the attack by these men. So none of this adds up. Who was driving the car? Maybe Mom knows something, maybe she doesn't. But it's not unusual for now the focus to also be on Mom. I mean, these are the two closest people to her.
See, I like this lady because she's smart and she asks all of the right questions, officials' backs, because her family was on their back bad.
It's, believed to be her pending positive identification, which will have to be determined by the medical examiner's office, but I'm confident to say that the search for Vanessa is now over.
Texas EquiSearch is now calling off the search for missing 20-year-old soldier Vanessa Guillen after Army investigators found human remains in Bell County today.
It appears as though there was a shallow grave, the rocks covered the grave and stuff, and then, for the 3 days after she disappeared, it rained, so everything just looked natural.
The Criminal Investigation Command told us they were searching in an area for Vanessa Guillen when they made the find, saying in a statement to Eyewitness News, quote, "No confirmation as to the identity of the remains has been made at this point, and we ask for the media and public's understanding that the identification process can take time," end quote. Guillen went missing on base at Fort Hood back on April 22nd. Her disappearance sparked outrage on social media. Today, we learned her family wants a congressional investigation into the case. Last week, the Army said foul play is suspected in Vanessa's case. Today, they told us they're not releasing any more information, including if there's a person of interest tied to her disappearance.
I'm here just feet away from where those remains were found earlier today. I'm going to step to the side so you can get a better look. Here's what we know so far. Human remains have been found during a search for missing Fort Hood soldier Vanessa Guillen. Guillen was last seen around 11:30 a.m. in the parking lot of her Regimental Engineer Squadron headquarters on April 22nd on Fort Hood. But today, Army CID issued a statement saying partial human remains were found during a search of an area of interest close to the Leon River in Bell County. At this point, the remains have not been identified. Texas EquiSearch is suspending their search for Guillen until the remains are identified. The remains were found close to where evidence was found last week.
Throughout the course of their investigation, they received some credible information which brought them back here. Some pertinent evidence was recovered and is being processed at this time.
It's, believed to be her pending positive identification, which will have to be determined by the medical examiner's office, but I'm confident to say that the search for Vanessa is now over.
Army CID agents are currently on scene with the Texas Rangers, the FBI, Texas EquiSearch, and the Bell County Sheriff's Department. The Army says there is no confirmation as to the identity of these remains.
We'll be back there. We'll be back at the Command Center in 10 minutes.
We're going to find it. I'm determined that we're going to find it.
You know, it's just a little something to let them know we haven't forgotten about them, and we'll be there for them for a long, long time. 11.5. Let's move this one. Amber's mom asked me if I'd go ahead and build a cross for Amber, so that's what we're doing.
I have mixed emotions about this guy because, like, he put so much time and energy into trying to find all these other victims, and he, you know, miraculously finds their bones, but has never found the serial killer of his daughter. You know, kind of like John Walsh on America's Most Wanted, because his son was killed too, abducted from a department store and killed. So, but they never find the killers of their kids. And like I say, he can also be used as a tool to get families off of the officials' backs, because, you know, if the victim is found, then there's no need to be on their backs anymore. You know what I mean? They don't need to be investigating what they can't find. As far as the boyfriend and the mom of Maliyah, they're acting weird. They're acting like crisis actors. Because in fact, we haven't seen them back in front of the camera since this day. You know, why aren't they trying to figure out who killed their daughter? So that to me rubs me wrong. You know, Quanell X and Tim Miller being involved with her search and rescue also rubs me wrong. Anything that Quanell X has to do with is pure lies and hustling, but that's all it is. This guy though, right here, he wants to be an actor. I will have to see what happens in the next couple days, see if anybody's brought to charges or anything of that nature, and then that will be the telltale sign. But I have a feeling this guy right here is going to be arrested. That's just my intuition. I'm not quite sure if I'm right, but it seems like it.